Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Kil2 and I'm still alive. I do apologize for the lack of content. I sort of burned myself out, and so I was taking a little breather, saving up some energy for retribution, but that's here now, so I can get back to it. Um, and I've also been real busy in real life, but you don't care about that. Let's talk about my brutix. I've had a lot of different sorts of stuff going on in Eve. I've been trying a lot of the new cruiser stuff and also trying to do some older stuff and just adjust to the meta in general. It's all very confusing, but what I've decided to show you today is kind of several fights in one roam where I was in a brutix. So you're looking at the brutix fit. It's kind of a classic, I don't know if it's classic, it's a shield gank fit, it's double extended, it's the way I want to fit every ship I fly these days it seems like, and I thought this might be pretty good against cruisers, which there's tons of around. It's not amazing at catching them obviously because it's kind of slow, but if it does catch them, unless they're tracking disrupting or they're particularly fast or small, it should be pretty easy for me to kill them very quickly. So I like the idea of that. I think it's got a good shot at killing like a couple cruisers in a row or something, and that's kind of why I took it. But I didn't get to fight any cruisers, so I'm gonna start. Well, before I start the first clip, I just want to say I was roaming along. This person said in the Bringing Solo Back podcast channel, which you should join if you like talking about small game PvP, but they said, "Hey, Kil2, I was gonna engage you and I missed my chance." And so I turned around and kind of headed back the way this person was supposedly at, them knowing that I'm solo in a brutix. And what they attempted to do here, I'm gonna go ahead and start the clip. Um, what they tried to do, so there's a hurricane here that's warped to this gate I'm sitting on, and he's got a flag of some kind. That green is the color I've colored everything I can shoot at without getting any kind of penalty. And so what they've done is they've got end up having two hurricanes, and they're using one to bait. And I want to kind of talk about the fight from their perspective because it's more complicated from their perspective. And the first thing I want to say is that their bait hurricane is a dual rep hurricane, and I think that's kind of weak. I think if you're trying to run a bait and gank setup, dual rep can work obviously if you've got the right ship for it and maybe some links and stuff going on for it, but hurricane's really not awesome at that. I think if you want to bait with a hurricane, you'd be better off with like a 1600 and a rep or something, and use a lot of slots for your tank. So that didn't, you can see he's dying really, really fast. That's bad for him. My ship's obviously amazing at killing battle cruisers, but that that yeah, it didn't work out. I think that the other thing I wanted to mention about them here is their gank ship needs to get there sooner. I think if you're running bait and gank like that, um, your bait ship either needs to be able to tank longer or your gank ship needs to get there faster. Because giving someone a pair of 1v1s back to back is definitely not ideal. So the next thing I want to share in this fight, this is for the sake of Angel here that I'm fighting, who asked a lot of questions afterwards. He gets a jam here with jam drones, and I'm out of shields, which is bad. And something people often don't think about is you can leave fights. And right here, it totally blew his mind that I warped away, and it was because I think that in his mind and in a lot of people's, the fight is just it's locked in. It's like we're brawling until someone's down, and people don't even pay attention to range after a certain point, or they don't think about what can happen to change the kind of texture of the fight, and I just decided to leave. I was jammed, and I had enough HP, and the Hurricane's DPS drops off after, um, some range, so I just burn off and warp, and that's an option you often have. Don't forget about it. And in the same boat, when you're him, don't forget that your opponent has that option. So anyway, then I go back to the station and rep up, and you can see here, I just warp straight back to the gate. I wish I would have bookmarked the wreck of his friend because that's often where people are hanging out. He's sitting right there, and I just start shooting him. He was jump range here, but he was a little panicked, and you can see there he aggroed me just before he died. But anyway, grab a couple hurricane kills there. That was pretty sweet. I like seeing the brutix kill stuff. It's always been a lucky ship for me. But I'm going to stop the video there for a sec. So the main points are, yeah, make sure your bait ship really has more time on grid. I mean, if I have a friend with me or something, they're going to be particularly hurting there. And I think they just would have been served better by a different fit, basically. Alright, so the next clip is I'm in the same room and I go up a couple jumps. I'm headed for a 0-0 entry, and on the way there I get to the system right before the 0-0 entry, and someone in local says, "Don't jump kill, there's a Talos and a Cinnaball there." Well, that's fine. I think that people, especially when you're on grid with a gate, don't be hesitant to mess with compositions that don't have any hard tackle. If they have no scram and no web, you don't want to get trapped in a belt or something, but it's pretty easy to mess with them. And a lot of time what you'll do is trick them somehow into coming to short range, and then you can grab a kill. So I'm going to start this video now. It starts off pretty quick, but it's just as the Talos has jumped in, they actually jumped in from 0-0, so we're in the low sec, and he was flagged, and I aggroed him, and he's shooting back, and then I just I overheated my micro warp and burned in the direction he was burning. Like I kind of anticipated his orbit path and was able to grab a scram on him. And the funny thing is, I think he didn't even care. I think he thought that he would be able to just brawl me with the Talos in my brutix, and that's not unreasonable, but it's also a little risky. If he blows his tracking for a couple volleys, it might not work out for him. And brutix is so easy to kite. It's such an ideal target to kite that you just want to go ahead and do that and not come in close. But I was able to vaporize him, and then the Cinnaball comes in to help him out. Too late, too far away, and I just warp off. So the next clip is the same guy. The guy that was in the Talos has now come out in a Thrasher. I've gone a couple jumps back into low sec since the Cinnaball was kind of keeping me from moving into 0-0. So I'm headed back into low sec, hoping I can maybe get the Cinnaball on a gate or something. But instead, the Talos pilot comes out in a Thrasher. So I'll start this clip now, and I'm already kind of injured from screwing with them. I don't know if it was the Cinnaball. Actually, that's probably what I was doing, is heading into low sec to find a station to rep up. So I think this is going to be a really easy kill, and this is kind of interesting to me. I'm really happy to shoot the Thrasher. I figure this will be no problem. And probably what I should have done is tap the micro warp burning away from him to start, so that I had a better chance to track. But you can see I do so much damage right at first, but then he starts to orbit, and all of a sudden I can't hit him anymore. And that's the big danger with ships with just a scram, is that anything small like this is going to be able to get under your guns. My hammerheads, I don't know, it looks like my hammerheads are doing some damage. You can see the 60s and 50s and stuff there. By the way, that new interface edition is fantastic. But now all of a sudden this gets real tense because the Cinnaball shows up and jumps for some reason. I guess he was worried he'd get scrammed and killed, which is probably pretty smart of him. But I know I'm on a timer now, and the Thrasher has me scrammed, so it's kind of bad. And then something, watch right here, watch what happens to the Thrasher. Whoopsie, bumped into the gate. I wish I was smart enough to have done that intentionally, and you should make note that that's always an option, but look how much my damage shoots up after he's bumped off that gate. That is an enormous help. And then, to compound my good luck, a Talwar shows up and tackles him. So then he goes down. I'm able to warp off before the Cinnaball can point me. And that is just Cinnaball did point me. Oh, but then the Talwar goes chasing after him, I think. So then he has to burn range. Or he did something. He lost range there, and I'm able to warp. But I don't know. That's kind of like killing a Thrasher isn't super special, but nice little trick there. Bumping people off stuff is a good way to screw up their orbit. Sometimes it can help you get a tackle, too, if you don't have one against an interceptor or something like that. And so that's the end of that one. Still don't catch the Cinnaball. And then for the last clip, which I'm paused for a second again, there's just one easy lesson here, which is that if people have fought you a couple times on your terms or on kind of, not super lopsided terms, and they've lost, sometimes, I guess sometimes they get desperate. And here, that's what I thought happened, is that they were just sort of on tilt and being really silly, and that's why this guy undocked this Myrmidon to fight me. But what I should have been thinking is, don't engage pirates on station undocks in systems where they live. It's just always bad news. So I'm starting this clip now as I'm locking this Myrmidon that's aggroed me on the station. And I'm in my head, I'm hoping he's just like a really not good player who's totally on tilt and is just going to fight me with anything. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a shield Myrm and I'm doing great. But what I should have been thinking was, this is terrible. This is a bait Myrm, and I am definitely going to die on this undock. And you can see he's boosting with a ASB, and I'm like, that's fine. And then a Vindicator undocks. And at this point, it's kind of just a joke. But yeah, I don't know. I think the brutix is fine. I'm still definitely sorting the meta out. It's a crazy new world with high power cruisers all over the place. People I've noticed are a lot more willing to fight in general. I think between the lower cost of the ships that are popular, the cruisers and the destroyers, and the added incentive of bounties and less penalty for fighting in low sec, you're just seeing a lot people being a lot more willing to engage in a totally different set of ships than usual. So look for more content from me. Hopefully, some more videos. I have another clip or two that I didn't put in this video that I might do another commentary for sometime soon. And additionally, I might talk Coverix into doing another podcast sometime this month. So, hope you guys are having fun with Retribution. I'll see you for the next one.